Hey everyone, this is Grant Sims at Chief River Security. Wanted to do another video on injecting data into access tokens or injecting claims into access tokens for resources to then utilize those for business logic. Before I did one on injecting profile information via a user into an access token. This time I wanted to do it based on group membership. So very classic example here. We have two users. They each have different permissions. User one can both write and read to the API or to the resource, and user two can only read. So based on this group membership here, we want to then inject a claim with those permissions so that when it gets to the resource, they know whether the user can just read or write and read. So with that, what we're going to have set up here is two users. User one is going to be part of the write group and the read group, with user two only being part of the read group. We're then going to set up in this specific client application, we're going to set up a profile value for that app that is just called My Permissions, which will combine the values across these groups. So you could expand on this as well to have other permissions. We're then within the assignment of the application, we're going to assign the read and the write group, and we're going to customize those group assignments to include the values we want in the claim. So per the read group, we're going to want a read value injected into the My Permissions profile value, and then for the write group, the same. Now with that, we'll set up on the authorization server a custom scope of permissions so that only when you request the scope permissions would you get these additional claims, and it will be mapped to the app user.mypermissions value. So with that, let's go straight to the demo. Let's first take a look here and actually see what it looks like inside of Okta. So if we go to the people, we have user one and user two. We can just take one as an example. Let's go look at the profile here. All the values you see. You will not see the value here of read and write because that's a per application. That's not at the user's profile. That's at the user's profile per that application. So just wanted to show that, but we can see that the groups the member is part of is read and write. And then vice versa, going back to user two, we can see that the groups that this user is mapped to is only read. Going into the profile editor, we'll go into this specific application that the users are assigned, and we can see that there's a custom attribute down here called My Permissions. It's an array of strings, and it combines the values. So as you add more groups for more permissions, those will continue to expand the array. Now let's go to the application. If we go to the application, resource developers one here, that they're both assigned, we can go to the assignments. We can see they're here. Now if we click on these users and look at them within the context of this client application, we can see that there actually is a value for My Permissions, and it's set to read here, and it's set by the read group. Same here with user one. They have read and write. However, to set this up, you would go to the group go to the groups assignment, you would assign the groups you want, and then you have to specify the value that you want for this group to be added to the claim. So here we've specified read for the read group, and for write, we've specified the write group. Now let's go over and take a look at the authorization server. We're interacting with this authorization server. You can see we've set a custom scope down here called permissions. Very generic, nothing much to this. We can then go to the claim section, and you can see how we've added a claim. It's going to be named permissions. It's pulled from the app user, not the user profile, but from the app user, and we specified the value of what we set in the profile editor of My Permissions. We're going to inject this in the access token. Just a reminder, resources deal with access tokens, not ID tokens. We're sending this to a resource, so that's where we want to inject it, and we only want to provide it via the permission scope. So as always, the quick and simple way is to use the token preview. So we'll select our OIDC client, authorization code. Let's do user 1 first. And our in scope is permissions. So we'll preview that token. All of our access policies were in line, and you can see we were provided an array with both the write and read permissions for your resource to handle those accordingly. Now let's change over to user 2. If we do user 2, you can see the permission was only provided read because that user is only part of the read group. Now let's take it a step farther and interact it with a true client. So we'll pull up Postman. I've already had this pre-configured for OAuth 2 using the authorization code flow set up with everything that needs to be there for the authorization server and the client. If you don't have this information, check out one of my earlier demos that has the full POC set up for this. But for now, I'm just going to say get a new access token. Let's first sign in as user 1. So let me grab user 1's information real quick. We're authenticating as user 1, interacting with the authorization server. We have the permissions scope provided here, and we're going to proceed. So let's take this access token and let's go look at it in a web browser at jwt.io. Let's refresh this, paste it in, and you can see that the additional claim of permissions was added, and it has the write and read permissions based on our group membership. Conversely, let's do user 2 here. We will clear the cookies. We'll get a new access token. We're going to authenticate this time as user 2. Getting an access token, we have it. Let's grab the access token. Let's go look at it again in the web browser here at jwt.io. And there you have it. Permissions was only a read permission. Once again, based on our group membership. So just showing you how you can use group membership to inject custom claims via a custom scope, and then your resource can use that in their business logic. I hope you learned something here today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.